Pa. It is our pleasure to have you watch what I did yesterday. And it is my pleasure to meet you for the very first time in your study. So this, as you have listened to, that is what I did here, Pa, yesterday when you were in church.
Yes.
Let me just give you a handshake. And nobody can really guess your age, but I know you have a very mature age. I remember last time I came when they arrested you. Don't go too far again, because we need that sound very much more even than the picture. Yes, last time I met you, you were about celebrating your anniversary when you were arrested for the SCNC activity we did last October 1.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not doing like the ladies often do, you may tell the Cameroonians your age as of this hour.
Well, there's no secret about my age. I was born in Bokwango village, exactly on the 4th of February 1927.
1927.
So I am on my 86th birth year of existence on this planet.
And I remember when we were at the mountain club, you said at this hour when most of your peers have gone to the above, you want to give your all for a cause. Redefine that cause for us.
Well, in the midst of so much confusion as to the identity of Southern Cameroons, I felt that to leave a legacy to this country, the truth must be stated. When La République got independence on 1st of January 1960, I had already qualified as the first Cameroonian chartered accountant in the city of London, 3 years before France granted independence to French Cameroon,
wow,
which assumed the name of La République du Cameroun. Southern Cameroon was not part of French Cameroon. And that is why when they got their independence, they got it without Southern Cameroons, which at the material time was still a UN trust territory under British administration. There are talks these days of Cameroon being one and indivisible. Well, simply stated, when a country attains independence, that is when its village fence is tied to the country that has attained independence. So, if you are saying that a country was not part of your territory at independence, there has got to be evidence that subsequent to that date, there is a treaty of union joining yourself to that territory. There is no treaty of union between La République du Cameroun, which got independence on 1st of January 1960, became a member of the United Nations on 20th of September 1960, at which dates we here in Southern Cameroon were still a UN trust territory under British administration. The fact that you are seen, Patrick, as a journalist, living with a pretty girl, the normal assumption is that she is your wife.
Can we stay?
Until the day when you quarrel, then she will ask you, which can kako you pay for my head? It is exactly what I'm saying now to La République du Cameroun. If you say that Southern Cameroon joined La République at any time after your independence, produce the marriage certificate. That's all. And then we will know that we are one and indivisible. This is not the case, because I went myself to the United Nations in the summer of 2007. There is no record in the United Nations that the country which attained independence with the name of La République du Cameroun joined some other territory called Southern Cameroons. And the UN is specific in its charter. This in Article 102 recites that if a member state of the UN, as La République was in 1961, when there is this allegation that we joined, that if a member state of the UN is going to join some other territory, it's free to do so, but that the terms of joining have got to be recorded in writing, and a copy of that agreement signed by both parties deposited at the Secretariat of the UN, which is the registry of independent countries throughout the world. It will be for the United Nations to publish it, as they did when Senegal and Gambia joined to make Senegambia. They advertised that the territorial boundaries of these two countries are now merged, and that the one country called Senegambia comprises the two countries hitherto known as Senegal and Gambia. But because the agreement provided how the marriage could be dissolved if the need arose, when the two parties thought that living together was uncomfortable, they just tore the agreement and they have reverted to Senegal and Gambia. In the same manner, the UN says that to the extent to which it has a written constitution called the Charter, all members of the United Nations must comply with the provisions of that charter, and failures to comply renders any such arrangement invalid and could not be referred to any of the 6 organs of the United Nations. I'm sure you know what the 6 organs are: the Security Council, the Trusteeship Council, the General Assembly, the International Court of Justice, UNESCO, and the Secretariat. Now, if you do not comply with the provisions of Article 102 by having a written agreement as a member state of the UN with another country, the UN says what you have done cannot be cited before any of the 6 organs of the United Nations, means it is invalid. But look at the fraud. La République du Cameroon cited Nigeria, that Nigeria has invaded part of its territory, Bakassi, and put up an administration there. And they took the matter to the International Court of Justice, which is a court established by the United Nations to settle disputes between any two members. They then produced evidence to show that Bakassi is in southern Cameroon. But because of the name Cameroon, La République du Cameroon, it was assumed, like you keeping a woman in your house, that you are married.
They are married.
So in the end, the court reminded Nigeria that the people in Bakassi participated in the plebiscite vote of February 1961 to determine whether they would want their independence by joining Nigeria or La République du Cameroon. They then asked Nigeria, was Bakassi part of your village fence when Britain handed independence to the country called Nigeria on 1st of October 1960? Nigeria said no. They said, but what are you doing in Bakassi? They said, oh no, Bakassi was under the jurisdiction of the Obong of Calabar before the white man came. They said, old boy, before the white man came, there was nothing like Nigeria. It was all Obas, Obuefis, sultans, emirs, governing their own tribal groups. It was Britain who amalgamated all these people to create the country called Nigeria. Was Bakassi part of what you received on 1st of October 1960 as the Federal Republic of Nigeria? They said no. They said sorry. So Cameroon, you win. So La République won this case by default, because if the same question asked to Nigeria whether Bakassi was part of its territory when it gained independence, remember La